Hi, welcome to WebProCast tutorial. Let's start a HTML document with no layout using a strict format. You can see that when we press create, it will create the strict element for us, or the docutype. Now let's have a look at design view. And what we do is we look at the tabs at the top here and we go to layout, and then we find an element there at the top that will create a cross when we drag it over the white part of the screen. Basically we can move it and change it how we want to. Now let's go back into code view and you can see it's produced a load of elements. This one is div, and this is the CSS area here. This includes the positioning, layout and things like that. I'm going to delete a few of the elements here just so that we can create our own sort of elements instead. As you can see, I've deleted all the sort of positioning elements, so all it's doing is sitting over to the left at the moment. If I deleted the width and the height, you will see that it will produce nothing. That would not appear as anything on your screen. Now let's undo that, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create I'm going to make it float in the center of the screen, in the middle, so it always stays center when it's rendered on a website. So I'm creating margin 0 auto, and I'm also going to rename the div. I'm going to rename it header, or this is the CSS part and this is the HTML part. Rename that the same. Now when we look, because we've centered it, it's in the middle of the screen. It always will be in any screen size, and basically that part there is the is the HTML that's working with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to create another div, and I'm going to name it main. Now we still need to create our CSS for it, so I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it underneath. Again, I need to rename that to main so that it associates it with that div. All the elements there I'm happy with for this second, and you can see that what we've got is we've got two matching boxes, both the same size and everything else, because obviously we took the elements from the other part of the CSS. So let's change the size so it's a little bit larger. I've changed it to 300 pixels, and let's just copy the main div underneath there, and we're going to create a footer. So again, we rename that footer, and then we create the footer CSS as well. It's basically everything that I'm copying there that you need to copy yourself and then paste it. So let's just rename that footer, and let's just change the height to I don't know, 50 pixels. I think should do it. PX is pixels. Let's have a look in design view, see what we have. Yeah, there's our footer. Now what we have is our footer, our main, and our header. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go between these two arrows here, and I'm going to press enter a couple of times, and I'm going to squeeze some elements in there. Now basically that put everything inside the main container. So I'm going to copy the footer, and I'm going to show you that it's between sort of that arrow and that arrow, so it's within main. So let's copy left. Sorry, let's copy footer again, shall I say, and name it left. This is just for your ease of use. Okay, we need to also rename the div itself, so let's name that left as well. So that when we let's just change the width so that we can see it. I'll change that to 200. Now you can see it's sitting right in the middle of the div main, but we don't want it sitting in the middle, so I'm going to use floats. I'm going to float it over to the left, Dreamweaver usually gives you most of these options. It's not recommended to use Dreamweaver, but I'm just doing it for quickness, just to show you how easy it can be. Now, let's change the height to 300 pixels, and you can see that what I've done is I've basically taken the height of the main and changed it so that it's the same, so that it stretches all the way to the bottom of main. Now let's take left and copy it again, paste it directly underneath, still within the main, and rename it to right, I think. Let's just copy the CSS. See, every div needs CSS behind it, just so it can be styled. Rename that right. And I'm going to float it right this time. Okay, and there's our other element. It's the same size, same width, everything else, because obviously all I've done is taken one element, renamed it, copied it, whatever. And you can also see that whenever I click on that, it highlights what's within main. So if we look at the width on main, it's 752, and let's look at the width on left. Let's create a div that's exactly the same length, so it'll fill the whole of main altogether. So basically what we've done is we've taken the main width, we've deducted left, and we've created a box that's exactly the same amount. But I'm not actually going to leave it like that. I'm going to put a little bit of gap in there. 540 I think should do it. And there we go, we have a little bit of a gap between left and right, because obviously it's floating over to the right. It will create a gap in there for us. Again, it's all highlighted under here. If you're ever unsure what part does what with the divs, then that's all you have to do is highlight, and it'll show you. Right, okay, let's have a look at the let's have a look at the header. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some margin bottom. I'm going to add a little bit of space underneath there, just so there's a gap. 5px possibly, maybe too. Yeah, it's too small. So let's have a look again. I think 10 pixels should do it. Just double the size there. All these options will appear in Dreamweaver. Experiment how you want. There we go. There's our 10 pixels. Now I'm also going to do it to the footer. I'm going to do footer margin top this time, simply because obviously we've just used margin bottom. Wouldn't teach you much, would it, if I used margin top again? Sorry, margin bottom again. And there we go. There's our gap right there. Now what we have is a simple layout. That's our main there, our main area. And basically we now have a very, very sort of basic template for to put our images in, because obviously you design all of this in your image editor first, say for example like Photoshop or Illustrator or anything like that. I'm just putting in some text here just to show you what's what. See, basically how we've added in those extra boxes would be where those text, or where this text would appear. So if you're ever unsure, just type in a bit of text into a box, go back, alright, and it'll be placed in the right place. All you have to do is delete the text and put your div in wherever it is, and that'll put it inside that box. So as you can see here, if I put another div in there, I could create another box in there. If you're unsure, again, highlight it. Now I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. This has come to you from webprocaf.com. If you're ever about, just give us a visit, sign up, ask questions. We're for from the expert to the beginner. I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.